What was it like, PC Dalla?
It was horrendous, and I've got to pay tribute to my colleagues who were out on the street all night dealing with horrific violence and scenes that I never thought I'd see in London in a 25-year police career.
What, you've never seen anything like this before?
Never. I've been involved in public order for probably 22 of my 25 years service, including poll tax riots, various Notting Hill carnivals, the Wapping riots back in the 80s. Last night was horrific. I've never seen anything like it.
It's obviously the job of officers in the control room to try to guide what's happening out on the streets, to dispatch officers to where they're most needed. How do you explain the fact that so many people are saying so-and-so was going on, this shop was being looted, set on fire, people were being attacked or whatever it was, and there were no police officers anywhere on the scene?
We had every available resource that we could deploy in London last night, including aid from 12 county forces. The violence was so widespread over such a large area, we just couldn't deploy everybody to all those locations.
So everybody, every police officer who could have been on the streets was on the streets?
Yes, they were. We had borough officers who are not level 2 public order trained deployed to confront hostile crowds as well, because the box was empty. We'd simply run out of units to send. That's not something we would normally expose those officers to a risk of, but last night's decisions were made that we had to, and that's what we did. We
what if it had
everything we had at it.
Sorry, what if it happens again tonight? Can you cope?
We will have resources in place again tonight. Hopefully it won't happen again tonight. I think there's some social responsibility here from community leaders and parents to talk to the children, because there were children out on the streets last night causing some of this disorder. There was a plea from Mr Godwin for parents to contact them and get them home. That obviously fell on deaf ears. But I think other people need to step up and take some responsibility about the way their relatives behave.
You haven't yourself been out on the streets, have you?
No, I was in the control room.
But you weren't out the night before. I just wonder what your experience of working on the streets like that, what it's like for an officer.
It can be pretty terrifying. I have experience of being out there, although I wasn't out there this weekend, when confronted by gangs of youths who are intent on causing destruction to property or to people. There was some serious assaults last night. I think it's the Times is running the headline that police surrendered the streets. We didn't surrender the streets. Over 50 of my colleagues were injured last night defending those streets to the best of their capability, and I don't think at any point did we surrender.
Well, but that's why I ask you the question about people saying, where were the police? It's not so much that you surrender them, it's a question of whether there are enough police officers on the streets in these circumstances.
No, I mean, probably there aren't, but we gave it everything we could. There are cuts to police officer numbers at the moment, so, if it happens again in 6 months' time, there will be less officers to respond to that.
Well, it's not so much 6 months' time, is it? It's tomorrow night and the night after and the night after. I mean, given that, obviously, you have to sleep, police officers have to sleep, they have to get some rest, and as you say, some people are being injured. I'm just wondering how you'll cope if it carries on like this.
We rotate the officers we've got. We'll be calling in mutual aid from other forces again, and that's how we'll try to combat it if it happens again tonight or the night after. I think some of the football matches have been called off, so resources we would have deployed to those games will now be used for patrols within central London as opposed to the football.
What about the international that's supposed to be played tomorrow night, the England versus Holland?
I don't know if a decision's been made about that yet.
Do you think it makes sense to send, presumably hundreds of officers off to police a football match?
In the circumstances, possibly not, but at the same time, probably a lot of people visiting fans from Holland will have probably already made their travel arrangements and they're not likely to cancel them, so it's balancing, do you want those fans to come over and not have a football match to watch, and then what will they do, or do you have them come over and watch the football?
What about you personally? Will you be on again tonight?
Yeah, I'm going to try and grab a couple of hours sleep now. Just before I came on here, I got a phone call from my local station asking if I could go in and drive a car this morning, but I politely declined that request and said I need to get a few hours sleep before I get behind the wheel of a car.